Thank you. It's good to be here this year. As I said, relatively new company. We only acquired this project literally a year ago last week. So this year's been a lot of growth to get where we are now. I'll try and flick through. I thought I had more time, but it's a 20-minute presentation. I'll try and get into 10 minutes. So the project itself is located in southern Chile, in the Andean region. Unique, most mining occurs north of Santiago. We're the only mine within the southern region of Chile in this area. Significant reef source. We have about 91 million ounces silver equivalent, about 1 billion ounces of gold at about 4.1 grams per tonne if you're talking gold. Infrastructure, we acquired the project for $4.5 million. It has a 500,000 tonne per annum float plant on warm idle, which is valued at about $150 million. We have about 40 kilometres worth of underground declines on the project already and other significant investment in there as well. So there is already a lot of investment in the ground that we're trying to leverage off at the moment. Where we're sitting, so I said we're in the southern region of Chile in a body of rock called the Desierto Massif. So significant gold-silver projects already exist in the area. So a couple of big names, Cerro Negro for Newmont Mining, San Jose with Hochschild. You've got Cerro Vanguardia sitting there as well for Anglo Gold Ashanti, and Pan American from the Exumana acquisition. So it's a very big body of rocks and a lot of gold and silver within the region. We're the only mine found so far on the Chilean side of the border. Couple of familiar names here. I won't go on too long, but Dave Southam, non-executive chair, he just got up before with the Cygnus story. Steve Parsons from Bellevue Firefly and Michael Naylor assisting us as well. As I said, rapid growth. Start of the year, we're only about 20 cents and we're about $1.20 today, so about 180 million market cap, about $26 million in the bank. Our register is pretty heavy on institutions. We have about 35% American institutions on the board at the moment, including Sprott and Scotia Asset Management. Why silver? So a year ago we sat down and went through why we want to do silver. One of the key things here is that we produce about 1 billion ounces of silver in the world, yet we consume 1.25. So we actually consume more than we mine. This deficit is ongoing and it's going to be coming to a supply crunch in probably the next 6 to 7 years, as most of this deficit is coming from vault stocks, which are significantly declining. So let's get into Cerro Bayono. So the mine site itself was found in the 1980s by Freeport. It was built in 1994. The environmental impact statement was done in the 90s, and it was the very first one done in Chile on a mine. So it has a bit of precedent. The area that we're talking about, Laguna Verde, which hosts the mill and significant resource, and the Cerro Bayo project. So the mill itself, pretty significant, 500,000 tonne per annum float plant, pretty stock standard, off the shelf, kept in the shed, fed by snow melt. So this mill was built in the 90s and it's still standing. It looks like it was built probably 2 years ago. Warm idle, I was there, I actually flew back yesterday. But we had it turning then on our regular 2-weekly care and maintenance program. The works program we're looking to do right now is going to be a mix of brownfields and greenfields projects. So our brownfields focus right now for drilling is around the immediate Laguna Verde mill, within that probably 1.5 kilometres. Most of our resource exists within the main vein trends of Coida through to Delia, you'll see it up through there, and the Tatao open pit. We have new greenfields projects at Cristal and Pegaso 7 I'll touch on now. But the area of these veining, it's a traditional low sulfidation epithermal system, gold and silver only. It covers about 4 by 4 kilometres of veining, and most of these veins are outcropping at surface. So I said, the project itself, gold, silver, we have significant grades in the ground. So one of our new areas that we've actually just started to drill recently, which is a brand new discovery, 1 kilometre from the mill, the Cristal mine. Area veining, 300 metres by 300 metres on surface. Drill rigs are still turning there, looking to get this into a maiden resource this quarter. Pegaso, another area, so this ore body has a strike of 1.5 kilometres on surface. We've only drilled to find down to about 500 metres already, sitting about 2 kilometres from the mill. Significant gold and silver grades there. You see our silver grades are up to 5,000 grams per tonne silver and 100 grams per tonne gold. So we're not talking low grades. Underpinning it all, these green areas through here, Laguna Verde veins. So there's about 40 kilometres of underground declining there already. This vein, the Quita vein, it's 1.4 kilometres long, subvertical, down to about 300 metres. You know, grades themselves, up 2,000 grams per tonne silver, 4 grams per tonne gold, 3 metres at 200 grams per tonne silver, 11 grams gold. So these are very high value lodes themselves. Decline infrastructure is already in place, which was put in the 2015-16 period. We're hoping to leverage this in the future when we restart mining. So I said our brownfield focus is drilling those near mine resources, building that resource base up, which will then underpin any restart in the future. While we're doing that, one of our main focuses is on the Cerabayo area, which is 7 kilometres away. So this area was mined by Core Mining back in the 90s and early 2000s. They pulled about 600,000 ounces of gold out of the Cerabayo mine, down to about 100 metres below surface. Our focus right now is around the Claudia Rail West vein. So these veins was a new discovery. I said this area was mined in the 90s. We found the Claudia Rail West vein. It stretches over 4 kilometres on surface. Their discovery outcrop was a rock the size of a small car, running 8,000 grams per tonne silver and 4 ounces a tonne gold on surface over a metre. That was found within 500 metres of a farmhouse right next to a mine. So this is the kind of discoveries that we can still make 30 years after the initial mine was found. You'll also notice in this area, which we'll get into discussing of what our future works programs will be, you'll notice all the discoveries through here are found on rocky outcrops. That's why they've been lucky. They haven't had to look undercover. So what we're doing now, we're going back through doing large geophysics campaigns that I'm going to touch on in a minute. That's going to start looking under the cover. Where you have that Wanako mine to Claudia, you know, these things don't stop. It's 10 metres of cover. We just need to use modern techniques to look below these things to find these vein extensions. Some of the resources we have there, again, everything is in place. Core Mining found this Marcella mine. They developed 2 900-metre drifts out to mine it, put in 5 levels, took out 1 stope, walked away, because that's when they divested the project. They sunk the raise bore. We still have all the ventilation gear and boxes in the shed 15 years later ready to be installed. So all these things we're going to leverage on a restart. In this regional growth play, as I said, we're going to be looking at these brownfields and the greenfields exploration play. So I'll get into the sort of the geophysics that we're looking at now. So these are sort of the surface veins that we're looking at. So the main vein here is the Claudia vein. All of our greenfields exploration geos are currently working on that western margin. Every time they go out in the field, they'll find another 300-400 metre long vein sitting on surface, and again running into the thousands of grams per tonne. I think one of the rocks that we found yesterday was running 135,000 grams per tonne silver equivalent. The geophysics, one of the largest done in the entire region, same program they used to find Serra Negro and other epithermal systems within the district. 300 line kilometres of AMT survey. So one of the key things is, in the past, they just walk up to an outcrop, find a rock, high grade, mine it. These geophysics campaigns have not been done across this ground historically. Like all the regular work that you would expect to see in these projects, we now have to come back 30, 40 years later and redo it to find the next level of deposits. So we did an orientation line to start with, which was sort of around that Cerabayo Marcella before Drought Master Corridor. So this was more an orientation survey over the ground itself, looking at the resistivities and the conductivity. So these blue areas marking the existing ore bodies shows up really well where the alteration is. What we found under that Pampa La Pera area is a 500 metre wide alteration zone sitting 10 metres below cover. That's never been discovered before. So our only orientation line is actually making new discoveries. This is only 30% of the program as we move through it. Working out to the broader area, after we work out what Cerabayo is actually happening, we're not going to talk about them until later, but we've also got these other projects. So you can see Los Domos zone here. This is the southern extent of our Cerabayo project. Put into context, that puts the strike length of the Cerabayo vein down to 26 kilometres. So you can see the outcrop sitting on surface, that big ridge line through there, more polymetallic through there. So just summarising now, my last 10 seconds, We currently have 3 drill rigs on the ground doing the brownfields, 40,000 metres planned for this year, building that regional project pipeline up with our geophysics, and a lot of news is going to be coming January from that, and that'll generate a multi-year exploration campaign that build a solid project pipeline up in the background. All right, thank you.